Every day, I spend hours looking at dozens of 2-inch frames on a screen. Every one of those frames represents a person. And if you're anything like me, you want to know more about those people than just what avatar they use to represent themselves in statistic class. So, in case you're curious, my name is Sophia Holdorf. I have an incredibly supportive family. We've been on some just jaw-dropping adventures, and I recently started my degree in music education. Let's launch right in. I'll begin with telling you about my family. It all started when my parents tied the knot in 1996. My mom immigrated down from Canada to live with my dad in northern Colorado, and they spent their first 5 years fixing up their tiny little house and going on hikes. My dad works for the government, not in the super secret kind of way. He's the facility manager at Channel Islands National Park and likes to do woodwork on the side. There's almost always sawdust on the garage floor, and he built my childhood home ground up. My mom is a graphic designer, but she gave up actively pursuing that when I came into the world. She decided she was going to homeschool her kids, kindergarten all the way through graduating high school, and she did. On the side, she makes jewelry, and plumage jewelry is now an official business with a website, and she sells at a couple places around Ventura County as well. I mentioned I had a little brother who she also homeschooled. Max isn't so little anymore. He's 6 inches taller than I am and frequently asserts this dominance. He likes to surf, he writes his own songs in GarageBand, and he's constantly on the lookout for supercars. As a family, we like to camp and play games, and every single Friday night for as long as I can remember has been reserved for movie night. If you ever need recommendations, I've got hundreds. I'm really thankful for my parents' resilience and their determination to love even when it's tough. It's brought my family together in a really special way, and we've been able to go on amazing adventures together, which I'll tell you about now. I've been around the world a couple times thanks to my dad's job. One of the crazy perks about homeschooling, or disadvantages, depending on how you see it, is that you can take your schoolwork anywhere. So when my dad would go on business trips, we go along and we would call them field trips. I learned how to make maple syrup in Pennsylvania, visited the Washington, D.C. Zoo, and a historic monument from World War II outside of Death Valley, all while I was 7. I've been hiking in Yosemite, Yellowstone, Rainier, the Grand Tetons. Please bring bear spray when you hike. Please. I developed a love of history from visiting Cape Cod and Boston. I've fished the Snake River in Idaho, seen indigenous caves in Albuquerque, and been inside Navy submarines in San Diego. I also got lost in Point Reyes and San Francisco. A high school friend took me to Mexico, and I have never seen a society so colorful. It was just astounding. And I also spent a year outside of Montreal. Let me tell you, French is difficult. My favorite adventure, though, was by far when we crossed the Pacific. As a family, we spent a couple hours in Shanghai, and I accidentally ate liver and also got a really thorough tour of the metro system. But that was just a layover, and we ended up spending 18 days in Bali. We gallivanted across the island. I ate way too much snake fruit, also got stung by a sea urchin. 3-inch long spines sticking out of my ankle. Not a good time. But I also did get to see some amazing waterfalls, snorkel with sea turtles, and eat for $2 a day. That was a really big perspective change, that whole trip. Just the way people live. Did you know that mosques will call people to prayer at 3 a.m. and they go every single day? We've got standards for driving safety in the United States that other countries do just fine without, as far as I saw. And I also learned that I am rich. I have this roof over my head, I have a supercomputer in my back pocket, I get the chance to go to university. Pretty crazy if you ask me. But now that you know where I have been, I'm going to transition and tell you where I am now. As you're well aware, I am a college student. I'm pursuing a degree in music education, and I got started in music largely because of my mom. She's the daughter of a Hungarian immigrant, and culture really centers around music over there. She started playing violin when she was 4, I started when I was 6, but this love of music really centered in my life at around age 15 when I started symphony orchestra in high school. Through that experience, I learned the power that music has to unite people. Whenever you open your case for rehearsal or step onto a stage, you leave behind so much. Your political views, your religious beliefs, your bad day, maybe your great day, your family drama, the test coming up that you didn't study for, it all just dissolves. And every single musician on stage has one goal: to present the story of the music to the audience and to make them feel these things called emotions, which only humans have to that certain depth. After just a few rehearsals, I knew I wanted to be a part of something so much greater than myself forever and wanted to bring other people into it. So there you have it. That's a little bit about me. I've got an incredibly supportive family, I've been on uncountable adventures, and I'm going to be a music educator. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that this encourages you to get to know those little boxes on your screen. Each one is a real person with real stories, so get to know those avatars. You might learn something new. Thanks.